Hi, welcome back, and we are blocking in our values with our matte medium. Here is a second mistake. Matte medium tends to, it is transparent, but at the same time, something crazy going on there. Even though it is a transparent medium, because it is matte, for some reason I noticed that it does it's not as fluid as I would want it to be. It kind of drags a little bit, and it also dries a little bit more quickly. So instead of adding your matte medium directly to your mixed value scale, maybe just keep your matte medium off to the side and add your paint to it after you've mixed it. It'll make it a little bit easier for you. Okay, so at the moment I am laying in my darkest values, and it appears that I'm using just a small filbert brush, which is rounded on it's kind of like a flat brush, but it's rounded on the top. It keeps everything pretty smooth, and so I'm just going through. I'm not doing any big details. And I'm still using my darkest value, but as you can see, I added in a lot more of my medium, and that is what makes it more transparent. And because we have our local color in the background, we don't have to add very much of the dark paint to our medium, because it's going to darken it even just with a tiny amount of paint added. And that is what I'm doing right now too. You can almost do the entire painting by just adding tiny bits of black to your glaze, and then if you want to build up the opacity to make it more opaque, then you can just let it dry and add an additional layer. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking more of the middle color, which is more of a neutral color of the value scale that we created, and going around and just finding any place that's slightly darker than the local color and adding those shadows in, same as we did with the other ones. Now you notice that I'm not even touching the area where his beard is. I'm actually painting the darkest values underneath the beard, and that's because I just really don't want to lose that information at the moment. I know that later on I can add that in, but if you're ever worried about trying to figure out where things are, just choose one to focus on and make it look really nice, and then later you can come back when you know where that thing is that you have to build, and come back to it after everything is dried and you feel ready to work on it. I'm now starting to go similar to the local color, just slightly lighter in value, and this is just going to start to pull things forward. So lighter colors will appear to come forward and darker colors appear to be pushed back. So all we're doing is kind of working back and forth in certain areas, and we're not going to our lightest value. That is something that you can honestly wait until the very end to do that, because you don't really need very much of your lightest value at this point. At the moment we just kind of want to start shaping things a little bit, so it makes it easier later to know where our lightest value is. Okay, so as I said that, it looks like I put a very light value, and I think this may actually be part of the problem of having such a dark background. I guess we'll see. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it appears that some of my paint that I've mixed is dried on the glass palette already. And I do think that is because I added the matte medium to it. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. You can kind of get your paints to last longer if you don't add matte medium to it. It's not entirely the same with gloss medium, although I have learned my lesson lately to not do the same thing either by adding it in. But anyhow, because it's dried, I'm still trying to pull some of that paint up. And when you do that, you're actually going to get some dried pieces of paint into your paint mixture and start getting it onto your painting, and it dries on there. And because acrylic, it dries so quickly, then you kind of start getting this texture of dried paint because you're trying to pull up some of that mixture. So another big mistake that I made here is what I should have done is just start over, like clean the glass and remix my paint and add my paint mixes to my glaze instead of trying to make it work when it's not working. And because my mixes have dried, it's really hard. I can tell it's really hard for me to continue to match what I want to do. Like, I can tell that I am struggling at the moment because I'm being a little bit too lazy by not remixing my paint. I'm like, you know what? I just want to get this like thing down, and you have to be careful with like what kind of mindset you're in. And I've probably said this before, but if you're feeling tired, or if you're feeling like a little bit frustrated that something's not going the way it is, then maybe you should just step away and come back to it in an hour or even 15 minutes. Just step away for a little bit. Okay, so that's the end of that video, and we'll go to sequence. We'll go to the next video right now.